Cheesy, unearned, underdeveloped CW-esque romance. Check. Howdy, y'all. I am Adam, the Renaissance Nerd. Halo Episode 8. Okay, Halo Episode 7 was the worst thing ever because of Quan goes to girl boss camp. But this, I don't know how many master classes these guys can give us, but this, again, is a master class of bad storytelling, especially when it comes to character development, character interaction, character motivations. Just out of nowhere, things happen. Boom. Oh, romance. Out of nowhere, unearned. Oh, motivations. Oh, we've been building it very sloppily, so we see it coming a mile away. Oh, face turn. Oh, wow, what a surprise. We didn't see that coming, and it was poorly developed and poorly initiated, poorly executed. All this stuff. This is bad television. Bad storytelling. These people in this writing room, these tardlings, have no business trying to tell stories because they don't understand humans. They don't understand people. They don't understand emotions. They don't understand how things happen. And yes, this is a fantasy world, a science fiction fantasy reality, and oh, they aren't real people. All characters are somewhat based on reality. There has to be a kernel of truth with which the character grows from. You have to understand how people behave. You have to understand how to build things, how to grow things. None of that. None of that happens in this show. And I can't say I'm surprised. Everything that happened in this episode, you saw coming not just a mile away, 10 miles away. Unbelievably bad. And here's how we're going to do this. Here's how we're going to do this episode, this review. This is how we're going to do it. This episode is so poorly designed with its story. Now, I'm just going to give you one little block in the next segment that tells what happened in the episode. Because that's all you can do. The A plot, B plot, C plot, it's all muddled together in this kindergarten finger painting masterpiece of disaster that you can barely separate them. So I'm just going to give you a big block of what happened, and then we're going to spend the rest of the video going over how bad these characters are and how bad the storytelling is in this show. All right. I can't put this off any longer. Let's do it. Humans are bad. That's essentially the core of this episode. Humans are bad. Humans are wrong. Humans are bad, even though we're going to tell you they have chances for hope and warmth and goodness. Humans are bad. While Admiral Girl Boss smiles smugly as a girl gets shocked over and over again. Here's what happens in Halo Episode 8. We are now back on Reach. On Reach, John and Girl Boss McKee go on a walking date in the park. Yes, they go on a date in the park with everybody watching, and they have a soulful conversation about how humanity is great. Because John suddenly has a connection with her because they shared a moment on virtual Halo. Suddenly, they're bonded. Boom! Isn't that great? We'll get into that later. Meanwhile, Halsey Girl Boss is not happy that she's being shut out, so she's initiated her plans to basically ruin everybody else's day because, big surprise, now she's becoming the biggest villain of the show. Oh, who cares about the Covenant glassing planets? As we see, they glass a planet, and we set the footage and watch everybody shocked. Who cares about that? Halsey's an evil white lady girl boss, and she's just doing mean things. But it's all for the progression of humanity to evolve. Yay! God. Meanwhile, Miranda, our soulful saint, is doing the Lord's work and trying to figure out who the transmission is that gave the order to kill all the people on the ship that McKee took over, because it was McKee that gave the order. And meanwhile, at the same time, her father, Captain Keyes, is having misgivings the fact that he and Admiral Girlboss and Halsey Girlboss kidnapped John and lied to him for all these years, and he's not feeling happy. He doesn't like keeping laws anymore. And it all leads it all leads to John getting a girlfriend. Predictably, out of nowhere, with zero build-up, John and McKee bump uglies. They bump uglies. They have the smecks. They have the snoo. Put your adjective, put your metaphor in there. They get it on out of nowhere. And suddenly, I mean, John must have James Bond Wang. He must have James Bond mojo, because one lay and McKee has seen the light. Immediately, her covenant brainwashing for the moment evaporates, and she's in love with him and he's in love with her, and they have small smiles, and she yanks off her plasma blade that was in her finger in a moment to show that she's now devoted to John, because she could have killed him while he was sleeping. I shit you not. Oh. Now, after the planet is glassed that everybody's so shocked about, it's now time to find where the Covenant is. And John says, I trust McKee. I have banged her, so I know her. We're going to use her on the artifact that we have to track the other artifact, and we can go on the offensive. Because I broke my indoctrination, and I broke her indoctrination by giving her the old 1-2 wham bam thank you ma'am. In other news, the other Spartans are either you got Spartan A and Spartan B, still indoctrinated Spartans doing their Spartan thing, but meanwhile, color-haired girl Spartan Kai is doing manly stuff by lifting massive amounts of weights for the joy of the other Marines and gambling with it and being awesome and basically doing guy stuff. It's just the beginning of the intersectionality. It gets even better towards the end. Okay, so now everything's building. As I said, Halsey Girlboss is very upset and very angry that she's about to be kicked off the planet. And she initiates her plan. First, she implants the seeds of distrust within McKee, telling her that humanity is evil. Humanity's bad. We're all selfish and narcissistic and terrible, and we're all going to destroy ourselves if we find the Halo. You have to help me. Screw the Covenant. Screw the UNSC. Help me. You have to get John to help me, because I'm evil girl boss. Yeah. And all the while, I forgot this part. All the while, Cortana is doing she's doing her face turn, guys. She's going from heel to face, because she now has feelings, because she was voyeuristically watching John and McKee have sex. Suddenly, Cortana is on John's side. Zero buildup, zero gun. She's been treating him like shit for 5 episodes, and suddenly she's on his side. Yeah. Okay, no, back to where we were. So Halsey's angry. Cortana's putting on an act at this point. You can tell she's done her face turn. She's on John's side. And Halsey's now convinced McKee. She's planted the seeds of doubt in McKee. And she then initiates Zeta Protocol, where now she has basically turned the other Spartans against everybody else. They only answer to her now. And except for Kai, because Kai took her emotion pellet out, so she questions things. So as Halsey's issuing orders to the other Spartans to deal with everybody else, kidnap John, because don't worry, Cortana's going to knock him out and take McKee and take the artifact, and then we're going to get out of here and we're going to go do our thing. Kai is questioning, so then she orders the other 2 Spartans to beat the hell out of her and knock her out and chain her up. And then they're supposed to lay in wait for John while he's taking McKee to be to interact with the artifact to track the Covenant. All right, so Cortana does her face turn, warns John of the incoming attack. John sends McKee to find help. And then John has a fight scene with the other two Spartans, but he's not in his armor. That's right, folks. Once again, Master Chief John 117 spends an entire episode without his armor on or his helmet and gets in a fight with two other Spartans. Screw a fight with the Covenant. Let's have him fight some Spartans while they completely dominate him because he doesn't have his armor on. We'll get back to that in a moment. Meanwhile, McKee scurries back to Admiral Girlboss and Captain Keyes, and she tries to alert them to what's going on, but they don't believe her because, Miranda has figured out that the translation, she's translated the fact that it's McKee who ordered the death of everybody on the ship. So now McKee's in trouble, and everybody turns on her, and they push her to the ground, and they shock her unmercifully while I showed you, while Admiral Girlboss smirks. Oh, you're evil. Blah. And so McKee's faith in humanity after getting the D is shattered once more, and her brainwashing reasserts itself. Woo! Meanwhile, John is getting his ass kicked. Kai is broken free of being shackled in a bathroom, and it's all done right here so that the Master Chief, who is now being guided by Cortana, she's telling him when to move, what to do this, how to do that. He's not doing it in his own badass form. No, she's giving him cues and heads up what to do this, what to do that. So John's getting guidance from a whammon on one end. And then, after he's getting his ass beat, predictably, here comes Kai to his rescue in her full armor. And lo and behold, she saves the day and creates a standoff while Master Chief tries to talk everybody down. Meanwhile, back at Mission Control, McKee, Covenant Girl Boss, because she's once again Covenant Girl Boss, is angry at the world again, hates all humans, and grabs the artifact, only to send out a shock to everything. And meanwhile, puts herself back on digital Halo, virtual Halo with John, and she says, "Goodbye, John." And John's like, "No, you touched my wing. And she vanishes, and then everybody passes out. Episode over. That's it. We're going to spend the rest of this time talking about how bad these characters are, how they're so poorly developed and poorly executed with all their intentions and actions.
From this moment onwards, my orders shall supersede all and any others.
Good storytelling requires depth of character. Characters must be developed in a well-paced, easy-to-understand manner. We don't always have to know their motivations. Sometimes it's a pleasant surprise when somebody reveals the reasons they're doing something. It's fun and entertaining to watch a character develop, to change, to grow, to adapt to the story, to be affected by the surrounding instances, the situations they're involved in. Well, this doesn't happen in this show. Halsey has been portrayed as evil girl boss from the very beginning. So for her to suddenly do this evil move at the end where she's taking over the Spartans is going to shut down John and merge John and Cortana into one super being. All she can evolve humanity. It's no surprise, and it's not entertaining, and it's really, really boring because they've painted a dull and uninteresting villain. Because they've made Halsey she feels like a bigger villain than the Covenant. Yeah, we just saw the Covenant glass a planet, but they spend more time showing how evil Halsey and humanity can be than how evil the Covenant can be. Showing the result of a glass planet. Okay, the Covenant's bad, but look how bad Halsey is. Look how bad Admiral Girlboss is as she smirks while a girl gets stunned with a baton. Two-dimensional. These characters are uninteresting and boring. Halsey's evil reveal, we saw it coming, like I said, for the whole season. And it was done without interest because Halsey is not interesting. None of these characters are interesting. Lots of times it's fun to be like, oh man, here comes the bad guy. They're going to do their bad guy thing. And oh, I hate them, but I love hating them. Oh, it's so, oh yeah. With this, it's like you're sitting there like this going, what a bitch. That's it. That's all you're doing. So they don't know how to even foreshadow or properly build something up. They just told you right away. Because again, this is a show with writers who are all about tell, don't show. Halsey's been telling us how bad she is the whole season. and they don't know how to show anything. Let's talk about Cortana, who is the Halsey clone, except suddenly she has feelings and can have sympathy because she watched John have sex. Cortana's face turn to now ally of John comes out of nowhere. It's predictable. Let's not mince words. We knew it was going to happen. But the fact that she's been treating him like dog shit for 5-6 episodes now, talking down to him, berating him, dismissing him, doing everything Halsey wanted her to do without question, without any sort of regret. Suddenly, she saw John have sex. She probably felt it too because she's in his head. And she has a face turn. Man, that's some powerful James Bond Wang mojo that even affects the digital AI in his head. Wow. It's pathetic and boring. And remember, we shouldn't even be having this conversation about Cortana having to do a face turn. She should have been face the whole time. She should have been on John's side from the very beginning. His number one ally, his number one confidant, his partner in all of this. But nope. We had to make Cortana bad also that we could suddenly, for reasons, have her do a face turn. And we're supposed to be shocked by this. Again, we see it coming from a distance. Here's Cortana. Now she's the good guy. Now she's on John's side. And John readily accepts her too. How shallow is that? Suddenly John's going to accept her after everything she's done for him. Again, bad development. These characters don't behave like normal people would. They don't have the normal reactions. And we're really going to talk about that with now John and McKee playing hide the zucchini.
John has a girlfriend. How ordinary.
Their connection is deep.
Their connection is deep because they had a moment on virtual Halo. That's the extent of their relationship. Remember, 2 episodes ago, or maybe the day before in the wonky timeline of this stupid show, John tried interrogating her, and she basically tried to indoctrinate him into the Covenant belief system. And then he touches the artifact after she says, let go. And then they have their virtual Halo moment where they connected and he brushed her face. She's like, That's the depth of their relationship. So she then tells him in this episode that while they're having their little date walk in the park, then they have a date walk. Take a walk in the park. There you go. And they have a nice soulful conversation about humanity and how John's like, humanity's good. Then she mentions a quote from the book she loves, and he finds her another copy or a sequel. I don't know. It's kind of unclear. And that's enough for them to have sex. That's enough for them to play Tickle the Pickle. I mean, I'm bringing this up because these people do not understand how to write romance. These are people who think, these are people of the Tinder age. Let's just put it right on the table, like John's Wang on the. Stop that, okay? I'm not gonna make the joke. These are people who think that Tinder is romance. You go out with somebody once, you swipe left or swipe right, whatever it is. I don't use Tinder, and then romance is straight to sex. That's what they think. Romance is straight to sex, and they do a very awkward romancing. This scene is awkward to all hell. They don't know how to write this stuff. There is no emotional depth. And then remember, this is a woman who has been brainwashed for probably well over a decade by Covenant dogma. She has sex with John. And like in a James Bond movie, because, that's the classic James Bond trope. He has sex with the woman and he turns her to the song of the angels, quoting Thunderball. You hear the angels singing. And suddenly she's good because she's suddenly in love with him. And he's suddenly in love with her. And they have Cortana rattle off, oh, their dopamine levels are high. Oh, they have a deep connection. Where is this deep connection? Where was it built from? For knowing each other for 12 hours and going on a date in a park, talking and bringing her a book, and then boom, right to sex. They don't understand. This is not romance. This is the hookup culture. This isn't good. This is not storytelling. This is not, Lancelot and Guinevere. This isn't Aragorn and Arwen. I mean, this isn't anything remotely romantic in this. It's, they met, they smiled, and he gave her a book, and they have sex because they had a nice, sweet talk. And suddenly, she's in love with him. Where's the buildup? Getting to a first kiss is supposed to be one of the biggest payoffs when you're seeing a couple start to come together. That first kiss is like, it builds and it builds, and finally it happens in a situation. You're like, oh, yes, they're together. But then that doesn't necessarily always lead to sex. It could have been like a Han and Leia kiss in the engine room of the Millennium Falcon and Empire Strikes Back, where it's been building on movies. It's been building since the first movie where they hinted at it. Hey, you think a girl like that could go for a guy like me? I'm a scoundrel. I don't like scoundrels. I like good, nice men. I'm nice men. And then the kiss and the build-up. I mean, it's there. And then the build-up for the rest, where Leia's coming to terms with that she's in love with him. And then, I love you, I know. And then you eventually get to a romantic love scene. Not necessarily in Star Wars, but you know how that's the scene. That's the build-up, though. You get the build-up. You get the breadcrumbs, the trail, the growing relationship. No, this is modern-day writer mentality. They go on one simple little date. They smile at each other, and they have sex. Shallow, thin, pathetic. They don't know how to tell a story. They definitely don't know how to do romance. And it all falls apart because, again, it's all shallow and dumb and terrible. And it's also awkward on the screen. These two have zero chemistry on the screen. None whatsoever. But it only gets worse, guys, because now we're going to talk about the continued destruction of Master Chief John 117 and how the intersectionality, oh man, they literally kick his ass.
I've only seen fragments from my childhood. But what I saw, what I felt, was goodness.
Intersectional feminism. One of the hallmarks of SJW writing and virtue signaling. It's there. That's how you know you're in a woke story. When the women are doing the stuff of men, especially if it's the woman doing the stuff of what's supposed to be our male protagonist. Not to mention a man behaving like a woman. John, as you saw there, busy talking about his feelings, about how humanity's good, trying to diffuse the whole theme of the show about humanity is bad, but he loses that fight because the show doesn't want him to win that thematical argument. Women acting like men, men acting like women. That is how you know something is bad when it comes to character development, and that is what they've done over and over again to destroy Master Chief John 117 in this show. Remember, I've said this several times now. When the Master Chief is without his helmet and without his armor, that is the equivalent of him leaving his cock and balls somewhere so that a woman can then pick it up and either control it or beat him over the head with it. And that actually happens both ways in this episode, as we've already seen with his simping for McKee. So, intersectionality already. We have constantly shown here how Kai is doing manly activities, lifting giant heavy things, surrounded by all the dudes, slapping hands, going, yeah, pay up, I'm awesome. That should be something that John should have been doing when he rediscovered his emotions. So instead, John went on a journey of emotional self-discovery, whereas she's gone on the macho journey of finding her badass self. Wow. Isn't that grand? John destroyed once again. But then it gets worse, because remember, He's without his armor and helmet this entire episode. Remember when I told you when he gets ambushed by the other two Spartans? He has to fight them without his armor. Now, of course, Zatan's going to go, here's your action. You're getting your action. You should be happy. Yeah, maybe I'd have a chance of being happy if it was the Master Chief in full armor fighting two other full armored Spartans in a knockdown, drag-out fight. Of course, I'd rather see him just killing more Covenant, maybe some Flood, but whatever. Sometimes you take what you can get. But I didn't even want this either. So you have Jon literally getting the crap kicked out of him while Cortana's giving him directions on how to fight. So he's being puppeteered a little bit by a strong woman. And at the last moment, you see it coming. You know it's going to happen after she's broken free from being chained up in the bathroom. Here comes Kai, literally flying into the fight. She gets the hero theme that they've put behind Master Chief. She gets the hero theme and the hero moment to save the day and keep Jon from getting killed. You can't get more cucking than that. He has no balls. He has nothing. And then to cap it off, after McKee initiates the artifact EMP, he's transported back to a virtual Halo where he's so instantly sad that she's leaving. And he's the one on the ground, beaten up, and she's standing proud and tall over him. This show hates the hero, especially the male hero. Every chance it gets, it lets a woman have all the power. Go back to last episode with Quan goes to Girl Boss Camp. All the power in her. None for Soren back then. No great moments for Jon. Just watching Jon get his ass beat and getting saved by the strong women. God damn, this show sucks.
Goodbye, Jon.
I feel like I've made my case at how these so-called writers fail at all levels to tell an interesting, deep, emotionally driven story with characters that we actually want to care about and root for. Because we're not rooting for any of these characters. We want them all to get glassed. Plain and simple. I mean, again, it was only a blessing that we didn't see Quan in this episode. But she's coming back with a vengeance. I bet next episode she's going to be right back there doing her Quan, I'm the greatest specialist girl ever thing. And more Master Chief cucking. And I bet they're going to have some explosive finale next week that's going to blow all our minds with the battle we're going to see. Question is, are we even actually going to see the Halo? I wonder about that. We've seen the virtual Halo faintly behind Jon and McKee. Now, I bet the final 10 seconds will be a shot of the Halo floating in space somewhere after Jon says, find the Halo, win the war. This show hates itself. It hates its characters. It hates its source material. And it hates good versus evil. It hates everything that's supposed to go into a hero's journey. It hates men. It loves strong women. And it hates you and me, the fans. It loves the stands because they keep coming. They keep defending this day after day, week after week. They still come around defending this thing as, oh, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Oh, it's the silver timeline. Oh, it's an adaptation. Oh, why are you so angry? Oh, go touch grass. You know, the same unoriginal, repetitive, boring, regurgitated, downloaded SJW woke responses that we're going to get to all these things when we point out how bad all this stuff is. And you're still going to see the reviews. Oh, it's so emotional. Oh, I can't wait to watch their week. Oh, I'm a real fan. I played all the games. Yeah, I'm sure you have. I've only played one and a part game, and I'm more of a fan than you are because if this had been based on the first game, I would have loved it because I played the first game, part of the second game. You know, I had all I needed to know to see whether or not they would hit the home run in this first season. Well, they've struck out. Well, they're about to strike out completely. We got one episode left. I bet it's going to be a doozy next week. Oh, I literally have a headache right now. All right, I'm done. Thank you for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. Share the video if you really did enjoy it as well. And if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, where I'm here to give you facts and logic to earn your trust and support. Because facts and logic don't care about the fifis of Stans and SJWs, who are cowards behind keyboards. Thank you again for watching this review, and I will see you next week with the season finale of Halo, the TV show. Serenity now. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach out to me at therentnerd@gmail.com. That email's for channel business only, so I check it on a daily basis. Also, you can find me at the Geeks and Gamers forums under @ROAS, and you can find me at Rumble and Odyssey, The Renaissance Nerd. Thank you again. See you next time.